The second bucket I want to talk about are the aspirational steps. Again, three here. A1 here is members of Congress in the House and Senate on both sides. Take a deep breath. Just hold off on the dystopian geopolitical pronouncements that get them a few views on the 6 o'clock news, but do what they used to do, which is go together on trips to China. They used to do this. Our representatives used to do this 2 or 3 times a year. We don't anymore. It's probably been years since members of either side of our parties have gone over to mainland China, not Taiwan, as Nancy Pelosi did, but mainland China. And they would be surprised to see what is really happening, because the verbiage about, hey, China's just copying us, they're stealing our technology, used to be true a very long time ago, not true anymore. In fact, VCs, other private businessmen, the CEO of Ford has been over, look him up on YouTube, and they're amazed at how far China is ahead on a lot of things. We can learn from them, which is why we can benefit from joint ventures with China. It is the story has flipped. China has a lot to potentially offer. Yes, they're behind on a lot of things. They're still behind us on chips because of not having access to ASML's $500 million machines, etc. But on a lot of fronts, they're ahead, and they can actually help us create a larger pie across things like EVs and drones and a lot of other things that the US needs, especially on defense. And so there is a larger picture. So I won't get ahead of myself, but there just our politicians going to China once before the September trip would probably go a long way. Aspirational step number 2. Both countries need to figure out ways to communicate respect. RESPECT. RESPECT, as Aretha used to sing. I'll have a link for that song, by the way. There's a great version on YouTube, Blues Brother version in the show notes. But it's fundamental. We need that. We need to show that. And right now, it's not being shown at the on either side of the politicians in both places, but it's not being communicated by the media in both places to regular people. We think Chinese are bad guys. Chinese think we are the bad guys. Reality is the truth is in the middle. And the aspirational thing number 3, A3, is on the critical issue of US-China versus Taiwan. The US needs to figure out ways to foster more communication with China and Taiwan. We currently just think of it as binary. China takes over Taiwan militarily or not. The reality is the Taiwanese, they have 23 million people. They have over half a century of existing as a separate place that's governed separately from China. And they have actually 2 parties within China that are also divided on this issue. There's the DPP that currently rules the government, the Democratic Progressive Party that is more anti-China. And then there is the KMT, the Kuomintang, that is actually more closer to economic cooperation and peaceful engagement with mainland China. So these are things that the Chinese people, and they were one at one time, they're not currently, but they have been thinking about this without our help. And we need to encourage that. Right now, most of the discussion is just on war or no war, and just cooling it down a notch would be a step in the right direction. So it is a key thing I would talk about, bring back respect, go back and visit China a little bit and see what the reality is, and then see if we can actually foster a discussion between the 2 countries here, 23 million people over here, 1.4 billion over there, and figure out what do they all want to be when they grow up further. So that is my take here. Look, the U.S., is a world-leading economy. It's a $30 trillion economy and a $120+ trillion global economy. We have a quarter of the world's economics, and GDP is over 70,000 versus 18,000 per capita in China, $18 trillion economy, and we have less than 5% of the people. And the U.S. has extraordinary strength in a services economy, which has global opportunities to grow even further with AI. And by doing some of these things, even at a 10%, 20% level, potentially accelerates the growth case for AI and makes the pie bigger. This is not binary. This is not zero sum. And that is the core thing that I think we need to really absorb at the regular people level to the level of our top leaders. And so that is that is my set of takeaways on this issue. And I hope you found that useful.